to him. He comes forward, he says, where's Ali? They say, why? He says, I'd like to ask him a question. He says, what? Ali ibn Abi Talib is fighting. What do you mean you want to ask him a question? No, I want this whole war to stop. I want to ask a question. He says to him, look, please go. Ali ibn Abi Talib comes. He says, bring him. Bring him. Let him ask. What's the question you want? What's the question you want to ask? Is God one? That's his question. He wants to stop the whole battle of Jamal. Because of what? Because is God one? Does Ali ibn Abi Talib stop the whole battle? He says, the whole reason I have come to fight in the battle of Jamal is to answer this very question. That's the whole reason. He says, come here. He says, when we say God is one, we don't mean one in number. We mean one in the absolute sense. That can never be divided. That is the meaning of the word one. And therefore he goes on to explain to him Tawheed. The next verse, what does Luqman say to his son? وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ حَمَلَتْهُ أُمُّهُ وَهْنًا عَلَى وَهْنٍ وَفِصَالُهُ فِي عَامَيْنِ أَنِ اشْكُرْ لِي وَلِوَالِدَيْكَ. Second area, what you teach your son or your daughter. Obedience to your what? Obedience to your parents. Teach them about respect. Give them examples. Show them how Rabab was willing to give away her 6-month-old. Show them how Layla gave away Akbar. Show them all the examples, Ramla giving away Qasim. Show them how these sons were obedient to their parents. Teach them these examples in order that they come out in this way. But listen to the next verse. Luqman makes a very important suggestion in the next verse. He says, وَإِن جَاهَدَاكَ عَلَىٰ أَن تُشْرِكْ بِي مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ فَلَا تُطِعْهُمَا وَصَاحِبْهُمْ فِي الدُّنْيَا مَعْرُوفًا. If they make you, or if they fight against you, to enjoin partners or to go against God, don't obey them. Just be good friends with them. Listen to that. If your parents make you put partners to God, or make you disobey God, don't obey them. Rather do what? Just befriend them. You stay with good akhlaq, but you don't obey when a parent is telling you to do haram. If my parent is telling me, let's go to this gathering because it's your cousin's wedding, I don't care. Let it be my cousin's wedding. I'll tell my cousin, I'm sorry I couldn't be there. But it's your cousin, you have to be there. My father, what is going on in that wedding or in that event? There is haram going on. You're my father, I love you. You're my mother, I love you. The moment there's haram, there's only one love, and it's the one up there. That's it. وَإِن جَاهَدَاكَ عَلَىٰ أَن تُشْرِكْ بِمَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ فَلَا تُطِعْهُمَا. The next verse, what does it say? Next verse, he comes, he explains to his son that whatever you're going to try and do, you can never hide from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. يَا بُنَيْ إِنَّهَا إِن تَكُ مِثْقَالَ حَبَّةٍ مِنْ خَرْدَلٍ فَتَكُنْ فِي صَخْرَةٍ أَوْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ أَوْ فِي الْأَرْضِ يَأْتِ بِهَا اللَّهُ. If it is a mustard seed, a grain, a mustard seed, which is the size of a grain, at the bottom of a rock, at the bottom of the earth, Allah will still raise it on the day of judgment. Sometimes we do sins behind our parents' back. Our parents are out, no one can see us. You sin. Or sometimes you're in the shopping center, you don't expect to see your parents. Sometimes at school, you're in the area, in the hood in school, no one can see you. But Allah is saying, Luqman, tell your son that even the grain the size of a mustard seed at the bottom of the rock, at the bottom of the earth, I will raise that on the day of judgment as well. That's why when Imam Zayn al-Abidin was asked, where exactly can you sin? He replied, sin in the place where Allah cannot see you. Here being the idea that you may go and hide anywhere, but above every hiding is the Lord who created everything. Then he says, Ya bunay, aqim as-salat. Establish salah. When you watch your children, he's praying salat al-dhuhr always with 5 minutes left before it becomes qada. Or he prays maghrib with about 2 minutes left. Bring him, come here, come. What is this ill discipline? You are willing to go to school on time for your lesson, but the lesson with the Lord you are willing to reject? وَأْمُرْ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَانْهَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ. Enjoin the good, forbid the evil. That's much of the problem in many of the Shia today. They'll turn up and turn up and turn up. But when it comes to enjoining the good and forbidding the evil, we're the worst at it. Sometimes we see our best friends are committing haram, we don't say nothing to them. But she's my friend. But he is my friend. That's what we say. Quran says, وَأْمُرْ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَانْهَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ. You see something wrong, you speak out. Because a good friend is the one who, even when the truth hurts, they'll tell you. True? Here, this is what the Quran says. وَاصْبِرْ عَلَى مَا أَصَابَكَ. Then he says, وَلَا تُصَعِّرْ خَدَّكَ لِلنَّاسِ وَلَا تَمْشِ فِي الْأَرْضِ مَرَحًا. Do not turn away your cheek from the people. If you see your son or your daughter is known for their arrogance, bring them. Oh, come here. What's going on? What's this arrogance I'm seeing you display? We may be a rich family, we may be a poor family, but our akhlaq is the most important thing in our family. How many parents actually pride themselves on the arrogance of their children? They pride themselves. The mother is proud that her daughter replies. The father is proud that his son is seen as being a very flashy person. He's proud. He's proud. وَلَا تُصَعِّرْ خَدَّكَ لِلنَّاسِ وَلَا تَمْشِ فِي الْأَرْضِ مَرَحًا. Don't walk in a way on the earth where you are walking around exultingly. Walk with respect. Walk in a way which a Muslim, when they see you, they understand that you are a fellow Muslim. Or when the Western world sees you, they see you as a Muslim. Not I walk in the road and I'm moving shoulders all the way down. An animal of a certain nature does that, but the human being doesn't. We've been taught to walk in a proper way. Wallah, there are Muslim youths, when they walk in the mall, they leave a lot to be desired. They walk as if he can't see and he just barges into everyone. Why? Why? Your akhlaq does all the talking. When a father sees his son is walking and talking the wrong way, وَقْصِدْ فِي مَشِّكْ وَغْضُضْ مِنْ صَوْتِكْ. Make sure you tell his son what? Walk in a decent manner and also lower your voice. Don't always, when you're walking in public with your friends, always loud. Sometimes you see people who want to make a point that I'm walking. A Muslim youth is someone who, when he walks, you see Ali Akbar or you see Qasim in his reflection. This is what Luqman is teaching his son. That's why Nabi Ibrahim, when he implemented what he implemented, it showed you that if a father brings up his son in the proper way, we go to Hajj every year just to honor one particular example. Look at that. One example of a father-son relationship meant every Muslim every year goes to Hajj to honor two who came forward in a father-son relationship. A mother actually, and a son and a father. Because when Nabi Ibrahim comes to Hajar, when Nabi Ibrahim comes, it must be difficult. Imagine you come to your mother or to your wife, you say, do you mind giving me a rope and a knife? And I want to take your son. Which mother is going to be accepting that? He says, give me a rope, give me a knife, I need to take Ismail. Where? I have to sacrifice him for the Lord. This Hajar had already seen that the Lord who provided me with Zamzam is the same Lord who is going to look after my son. The mother was certain. She was certain about what's going to happen. But what you find is what? He comes forward, look at his wording, and look how the Quran uses it again. قَالَ يَا بُنَيْ يَا بُنَيْ. In a proper way. إِنِّي أَرَى فِي الْمَنَامِ أَنِّي أَذْبَحُكَ فَانْظُرْ مَاذَا تَرَى. I see in my dream that I have to sacrifice you. What is your opinion? How many fathers ask for their son's opinion? Imam al-Sadiq says one of the rights of a son is that the father asks for his opinion on issues. فَانْظُرْ مَاذَا تَرَى. What's your reply? Listen to his reply. قَالَ يَا أَبَتِي. Oh my father. But Simpson in The Simpsons, he never calls his father by father, does he? Subconsciously we don't realize. Always Homer, always. Yeah? Because they are trying to put it in the West. The idea that call him by his name. Although with some of our parents you try and call him by his name, it's a quick lip round the air. But you find here, he says, قَالَ يَا أَبَتِي اِفْعَلْ مَا تُؤْمَرْ. Do what you've been commanded to do. سَتَجِدُنِي إِنْ شَاءَ اللَّهِ مِنَ الصَّابِرِينَ. You will find me as what? As one of the patient ones. Listen to what the Quran says in the next verse. فَلَمَّا أَسْلَمَا. فَلَمَّا what? أَسْلَمَ or أَسْلَمَا? Aslama. When they both submitted. A father and a son should worship together. I don't want to see a father sitting in Dua Kumail every Thursday while his son is somewhere completely different. Nor should I see a father be in the mosque in Muharram for 10 nights while his son, we thank his son, mashallah, with all the credits that he's managed to turn up on the night of the 10th. How hard life is that the Shia can only turn up on the night of the 10th. Look how great. So you find here that a father comes, they both submit. When they both submit, when Nabi Ibrahim comes to sacrifice his son, does his son run away? No. This is beautiful. This is obedience. He says, my father, I just want from you one thing. What is it? Just blindfold yourself. I don't want you to see me in pain. Look at that level of obedience of a son to his father. When he sacrifices him, what does he see? He sees a sheep. He sees a sheep in front of him. You would expect Nabi Ibrahim to be smiling, true? What does he do? Nabi Ibrahim doesn't smile. He says, have I failed my test? Surely you should be smiling. Your son's still alive. All you sacrificed was a sheep. Have I failed my test? Because the test of any father is when he gives the beloved son away. True? If you love your son, wouldn't you give him away? That is the height of sacrifice. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّا كَذَلِكَ نَجْزِيَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. This is the way we reward those who do good. وَفَدَيْنَاهُ بِذِبْحٍ عَظِيمٍ. We ransomed this sacrifice. This wasn't the best sacrifice. On the contrary, there was another sacrifice which was greater. وَتَرَكْنَا عَلَيْهِ فِي الْآخِرِينَ. Where the later sacrifice was in the later generations of Ismail. It was in his later generations. A son would be sacrificed, not a sheep. No. A sheep at least receives water before it's sacrificed. As a sheep receives water before it's sacrificed. You notice Imam Zayn al-Abidin used to say that when I used to walk past the butcher, I would see him just before he sacrifices a sheep. I would see him come forward and I would see him come forward and I would see him give water to the sheep. I would say to him, why? He says, because a creature, before it dies, it should be given water. He says, when my father died, no one gave him water. My father died thirsty on the plains of Karbala. For Aba Abdullah was the greatest sacrifice on earth. But even great and alongside